Hello and welcome to the Armchair Pundits Manchester United post-match review show. I'm your boy Monts. And yes, it's another away day. We're at St James's Park, where we haven't won since 2020. Can you imagine? Now, I already know that we've played a game a couple of days ago, and I'm hoping that he's brave enough to make some changes earlier on so that we don't get caught cold and we get beat by the Newcastle press, the way they play so aggressive and they play so quick. So I see the starting lineup come up and I see that we've only made one change. Dalot off, Mazraoui on. Now, although I was probably hammering Dalot in the last post-match, I don't know if that's the only change I would have made, to be honest. I probably would have changed Casemiro. I would have changed Šeško, having Ahmad out wide and putting Mbeumo down the centre. Šeško's in a fine vein of form, so why would you change a winning formula? I get it. So we start out, and if I'm honest, it was ugly. It was horrible. The first 4 minutes, Newcastle already in our box, and they've got a chance on goal, hitting the post from Trippier, who floats a lovely ball back into the United box, back the way it's come. And you've got Euro and Lemens not really controlling the situation and deciding one of us are going to go for it, but they just watch the ball go up in the air and come down and just come in off, kiss the post. And it could have gone absolutely anywhere. Lucky for us, it fell to United and we cleared our lines. But honestly, they were in our box more often than not in the first half hour. In the first 40 minutes, in fact, it was so horrible to watch. And to think that the last game that we played, it was in similar vein to this. We didn't start well. We look really lethargic. When you're going to play a team like Newcastle, you need to be ready because they're going to be quick. They're going to be physical, making runs beyond the defensive line, running down the channels. They are going to be on your first touch. They're going to be aggressive. You need to be wise to it. You can't be dilly-dallying on the ball, which is what we were doing, losing the ball in the centre of the park under no pressure, other than from one midfielder or someone not shouting man on. Undercooking the passes for Newcastle to come and nick, to break down our attack. Not being strong enough on the ball. The list goes on. And honestly, I think in the first half hour, I counted around about 10 to 12 touches in the United box. And we hadn't even got one opportunity inside Newcastle's box. I don't even know if we saw the keeper, to be honest with you. Ramsdale was busy having a cup of tea because he didn't have nothing to do. It was almost like everyone just decided to wake up around the 40th minute. Mainoo receives the ball just outside the Newcastle box. On his first touch, he hits an out-swinging ball, curling away from Ramsdale on target. Ramsdale gets a strong hand to it and puts it out for a corner. And that was the first opportunity we had around the 40th minute. Shortly after that, Šeško starts to get involved. He's getting the ball, he's holding it up. He's bringing in Cunha. He's bringing in Mbeumo. Cunha's receiving the ball. He's opening up his body. He's running inside. Šeško's making a run across his defender. Cunha's taking a shot on goal. Ramsdale parries it out. Lucky for him, it didn't go out to any United players. It's taken us 40 minutes to get to this point where the away fans can start getting up out of their seat. And I can start seeing that, actually, United actually want to play some ball today. I'm thinking this half is possibly going to go out 0-0 because even though Newcastle were knocking, they weren't really doing enough to really pose a real threat. United didn't look like they wanted it enough to get more than the chances that they created in the last 5 minutes of the half. I couldn't have been so wrong. Newcastle picked up the ball outside the United box. They play a very clean ball. Lemens comes out to close the gap down. Ramsey just pokes the ball away from him. Lemens pulls out of the challenge. Ramsey goes down. The players are remonstrating that it was a dive. Ramsey's just laying on the floor as in he's disappointed that he missed his chance. Or was he trying to dive and get a penalty? I don't know. You decide. Have a look at the replays. It looks like Lemens got a very slight touch. But if I'm honest, I don't think it was enough for him to go down. United get away with that. However, the referee's got another thought in his mind. He gets Ramsey up, shows him a second yellow. Newcastle are down to 10 men. Horrible call from the ref. I don't believe, in my opinion, that scenario required a yellow. It didn't require anything other than a conversation to Ramsey, just tell him to get up and get on with it. However, I'm not going to complain too much because at this point, it's in United's favour. A couple of moments later, Newcastle, with 10 men, don't go into a low block to see the half out. They still continue to attack. They're going down the side where Mazraoui is. Gordon's got the ball. He goes like he's going to go to the byline. He cuts inside. Bruno runs across him, tries to win the ball, misses it, fouls Gordon in the box. The referee takes not even 2 seconds and points to the spot. Penalty Newcastle. Literally, 1 minute he's the hero. Next minute, he's the villain. Bruno had no right to try and win that ball there, in my opinion. All he had to do is stand him up. I appreciate he doesn't want him to cut in on his favoured foot and bend one in. But we've got a goalkeeper, defenders inside the box that could potentially block the shot. Anyway, Gordon steps up. He puts the ball right down the middle, just missed Lemem's toenails. I am livid at this point. I'm furious that we're now losing at the end of the first half. Kick-off from United. Somehow, the ball makes it over to the right-hand side to an on-running Mazraoui. He chops the ball inside. Hall doesn't read it. Takes Mazraoui out. Free kick United at the death for the first half. Captain Clutch steps up. He clips a naughty ball near post to an on-running Casemiro. Blindsides Ramsdale. Casemiro gets a flick. He puts the ball past Ramsdale. It's 1-1. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Take your opportunities. That's now our third opportunity on goal. The referee blows the whistle. That's the end of the first half. If that's the end of the first half, what is the second half going to be like? Newcastle are going to probably come out on a low block, try and beat us on a counter. They've got the pace to do it, so why not? They come out. Newcastle didn't take their foot off the gas. They played like they still had 11 on the pitch. They were still pressing us high. They were still trying to nick a ball off of us, being very aggressive to the point where Casemiro had to get dragged because his legs had gone. It was definitely a difficult first 15 minutes for him in that second half. To be honest, I called him potentially not playing another 90 minutes, not in so close proximity to the last game. So he comes off for Ugarte, Shaw comes off for Dalot. Dalot coming on means that Mazraoui will shift to the left-hand side and Dalot will play right and potentially give us more width higher up the pitch, because with Mbeumo playing right wing, he would definitely be cutting inside, so he makes the pitch a lot more narrow. Those changes almost gave us a leash of life. It was like a breath of fresh air. Bruno started getting more on the ball. It got to the 70th minute. Bruno picks up the ball outside the Newcastle box. He clips a ball into the far post, past Ramsdale. Euro's on his own. He headers the ball down into the ground, takes all the pace off the header. Ramsdale gobbles it up. That, for me, should have been 2-1. And if we'd have got that goal, I believe the game would have been done. I don't think Newcastle would have got back into it because I feel like they would have tried to save their blushes. Or if it had kept on going, they would have left more gaps for us to get in behind. Moments later after that, another ball floated in by Bruno from a different angle, but to the back stick still. Ugarte raises highest. He gets his head on the ball. He beats Ramsdale, but he also beats the goal. The goal, it weren't even on target. He's got to do better from there. Between Euro and Ugarte, they both had opportunities to put us ahead, and I believe they should have done better. So moments after that last opportunity from Ugarte, some more changes get wrong. And I feel like Carrick can sense an opportunity here. He brings on Ahmed for Mainu, and he brings on Xerxes for Mbeumo. The last game I saw Xerxes come on, I've got to be honest, he looked up for it. He looked like he could be our game winner, and he definitely changed the game. Today, more of the same. He come up, he held the ball well, he was running the channels. First touch was on point. He's definitely in the right pockets to create more space. But with all these changes, as much as United probably looked like they were the better team, Newcastle weren't letting up. They still fancied themselves. They took Alanga off, brought on Jacob Murphy, took off Anthony Gordon, brought on Osula. So with Newcastle making those changes, as Rabi comes off, injured, Malacia comes on. Now, I've got to be honest, at this point, I'm saying I'm happy Malacia is getting his 5 minutes, but I'm also thinking to myself, it's 1-1. This game is very, very on edge. I don't know if he's the right man for the job. Now, I appreciate he's a left back, but he is not sharp. Definitely doesn't look Prem ready, in my opinion. I'm going to go with Carrick. I'm going to trust him because we've got enough game winners on the pitch at this point to turn this into 3 points, not just the one that we're looking at the moment. Now, in saying that, Xerxes picks up the ball on the edge of the Newcastle box. He turns, he fires a shot towards Ramsdale's goal, and a great shot it was. Ramsdale gets a strong arms to it. He puts it out for a corner. The corner's floated in from Ahmad. Newcastle clear their lines. Bruno picks up the ball at the edge, tries to do something intricate, little 1-2 with, I think, Seshko, but he undercooks the pass. Osula nicks the ball, sets it to Trippier, and then Osula sprints towards Malacia. Trippier gets the ball, he pumps the ball down the line. Osula gets the ball, he's stumbling, still manages to keep the ball on and keep control of the ball. Steadies himself, does one step over, cuts the ball inside, beats Malacia because he's out the game now. He bends the ball with his left foot around Maguire. Lemem's is unmoved. The ball nestles in the side. This is now the 88th minute and it's 2-1 Newcastle. 10 men Newcastle. Can you Adam and Eve it? I started this pod saying to myself, Newcastle have lost their last 3 home games. Man United have not beaten Newcastle at home since 2020. Michael Carrick has had 23 points in the 9 games he has managed us. Surely we can beat Newcastle, break the duck, and go on with the unbeaten run. Eddie Howe and Newcastle had another plan, a completely different plan. Now, their defence hasn't been the greatest, and this is why they're in half the problems they're in. But we look so flat today. Unreal. We definitely need to buck up our ideas. Now, even though we've been trailing in 5 of the games this year, we haven't lost. Now, this is what I'm resting on. This is where all my confidence is in us being able to get a result here, or at least get a point. And it's embarrassing as it is where we're looking at getting a point against a 10-man Newcastle. Sometimes 10 men could be worse to play against than 11. And Newcastle were definitely hard to play against today. They were more up for it, in fact. That was what it was. We've got Villa next, who lost against Chelsea today. That leaves us level on points with them. I just want this day to be over. We need to brush it off. I could see today that the boys wanted to win, but I just feel like we lacked quality in the most important moments. You can potentially get complacent where you're winning and not really having to change nothing, because why would you change your winning formula? But now you've lost, you have to do something, because you can't keep on doing the same thing and expect a different result. Now it's a true test of character and a test of how Carrick can influence the United dressing room with his managerial prowess. I really want to see something here, and what a better time than to show it against Aston Villa. That's it from me today, guys. Not the greatest away day, but we've got Aston Villa to look forward to next, and it's at home. So let's just go and do the business over there. I'm your boy Monts. Please don't forget to join. Click that subscribe button, share. Let's make this community bigger, and we want you to help us get to that 400. We're on YouTube, X, Instagram, and TikTok, and make sure you comment. See you next time, guys. Peace.